Hello, hello, hello. If you're watching the replay here, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Svava Brooks. I'm a trauma recovery coach, and you can learn more about my one on one coaching and group coaching on my website, svavabrooks.com. If you're here watching the replay, you will see us chit chat a little bit, catching up, checking in with each other before we dive in a little bit deeper. So feel free to fast forward as we always end up having a beautiful conversation, very deep, meaningful conversation about healing and restoration after trauma or abuse. But if you're here live, right here, right now, please say hello. Please let me know that you're here so I can welcome you. And as always, we welcome anybody. We are open to receiving questions, comments about healing and trauma. If you have questions, if I don't know the answer, I turn it over to our wise community because there is so much wisdom from our lived experiences. So, with that, I want to welcome you and I look forward to our chat today. Hey, friends, how are you doing? It took a couple of tries with YouTube today to get it up and running. Hey, Sharon, how are you doing, my friend? Hey, Beverly. Hey, Lady Leo. Yes, it took a couple of tries today. When I started it earlier, it just kept spinning. And then I had to do a restart and ta-da, it worked. Hey, EJ, I am so glad that you are here too. How are you guys feeling today? How are you doing? I actually can't believe I'm wearing a sweater and long sleeve today. It's cold. And I know I shouldn't be saying that because the heat I know is coming. Elizabeth, I think I saw you post today that it was summer but cold. See, I know I can't even see it. I turned my phone off. But it's probably like in the 50s today. Hey, Lady Leo. Sharon says she's okay. Any news, Sharon? Any updates? Any updates, my friend? Been thinking about you. Beverly says, better today. Good. We will take those days, right? No, it's actually 63, but I swear it feels like 50. And it's going to be staying that way for the rest of the week. So, yeah, I haven't quite put my winter clothes away. So, hey, Minnie. Hey, friend. How are you doing? Sharon says, find out the results on 6/22. All right, my friend. That is what? 12 days or so? 12, maybe 2 weeks. How are you doing, Minnie? Beverly says she's better. Glad to hear it. I know. I was actually watching one of the past videos here, and I remember I had a hot flash just watching it. It was like 90, and I was sitting here in a t-shirt, and I think just a very light skirt, and I was sweating just talking. So I know. I'll take the cold air. I can wear that. I can dress that off. So EJ says, rushed home from the doctor because the rain started coming and I had left the house with all the windows open. Just cut my hair and got out of the shower to catch us. Excellent. I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're here. Minnie says she's good. Hormones are super wacky. I hear you, Sharon. I can only imagine, my friend. Had to close up the house and turn on the air on just to get the stuffiness out. Yep, I hear you. I hear you. Well, I'm glad you got home. I'm also glad to hear you went and got your treatment today, my friend. I hope it helped. Taking care of your health and your body, important. I did hear from my one of my UK friends today who said she needed to go to bed. So, shout out to anybody that isn't here with us live. You are with us. Our thoughts are with you. And I also heard from a couple people, right? We kind of dove deep yesterday on Facebook in our chat, maybe a little unexpectedly, where we talked about unmet needs. And I know from my personal experience on the healing journey that sometimes getting in touch with those unmet needs can bring up feelings, lots of sadness, lots of sadness. I can definitely share that when I got in touch with some key concepts around, that's right, Beverly, right? You and a few others here. When I started to understand a few key concepts around child development, around parenting, about safe attachment, about getting my needs met, and basically to understand that a lot of what I was struggling with was not just because of the trauma, but it was because I didn't get my needs met. Because, like so many of us, I was being raised by, excuse me, friends, um, by traumatized parents, caregivers. So that did not know, because of their own trauma, how to meet, you know, my needs or my siblings' needs. So once we learn some of that and recognize that maybe some of our pain is linked into, us needing something, and we have maybe felt bad or been feeling guilty, or right, have had some negative thoughts about ourselves about not getting those needs met, it's hard. It is hard. And sometimes some of the hardest feelings to surrender to is the grief for ourselves and grief for the inner child, or the child we used to be that didn't get those needs met, right? And things could have been different. So, but part of, yes, thank you, Beverly. It is very difficult. It is. And I will never minimize or ask one to pretend. I can feel my tears right back here, just my emotions. Because I know that pain, and I know that the overwhelm of those feelings. I know that sadness. I know that grief. And at the same time, it was once I can still remember when I read, I've shared this with you guys before. Once I've read up on and understood attachment, that I so could understand. It's like I could see myself on all these pages. It's like how I was acting out as a child, like desperately seeking someone to connect with and relate to in a safe way. I almost felt like I cried for a week. I just surrendered and just allowed myself to completely fall apart and just cry and 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 cry about it, because finally I understood there was nothing wrong with me. I hadn't done anything wrong. I wasn't bad. I didn't get my needs met. And as a result of it, I struggled. I struggled with understanding myself, understanding relationships, understanding love. So, yeah, exactly. So, please, my friends, be gentle with yourselves. And the reason maybe why you feel like I'm bringing this up is because once we can, um, exactly, once we can recognize the feeling and the hurt, and even though we can't go back and fix it, what we are learning today on so many levels, right? We can become the parent that we needed. We can actually influence our wiring, our nervous system, our brain, right? And to help us heal those things, right? Not that it's easy necessarily, but with awareness, with acceptance, exactly, recognize, and also recognizing how we kind of tend to act out in a way, because that's what children do. It's like we act out until we get a healthy, loving parent that is loving and firm. I'm here. I see what you're doing. I understand why you're doing it. You have every right to have your feelings, but I won't let you hurt yourself or others. I will sit with you. I will sit with you. I'm willing to hold you or just sit with you or just be in the space for as long as you need to express the anger, the hurt, the outrage, and also come to terms with maybe some of the beliefs that we've taken on that have become hardwired into our system. Because when we believe in our heart of hearts that we're not lovable, um, that when we're not lovable, we um, we also resist love, and we even resist our own love. So, right, it gets a little messy. It definitely does. So I'm going to pause here. So welcome, Rob. So glad you're here. So glad you're here. EJ says, I feel like I could cry for a year and still not have it out. I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I absolutely hear you. And as much crying as I needed to do, all of it was worth it. It helped. It helped to get it out, to get it out, to get it out. So, yes, Beverly, strange how our emotions work against us. Yes, because, right, we don't have any healthy examples. And that was the thing that we missed out on growing up. We didn't have healthy role models, someone that was willing to model that for us. So, of course, we in our mind's eye, it's like, no, it's not okay to have my feelings. It's not safe to feel my feelings. And if I allow myself to feel this truth, then guess what? I'm probably going to end up questioning all of this truth. And that's a lot. Minnie says, most of us never got our emotional needs met as children, and that hurts. But if someone tries to meet our emotional needs these days, it can be very scary and feelings of guilt and shame if we open up. Yes, because we have to be vulnerable. And feeling our feelings is what? Feeling our feelings requires us to become, right? We have to become vulnerable, and we have to risk being loved by imperfect beings, people that may not be able to show up all the time, that as much as they care and want to support us, right? They may not be able to meet our needs 24/7 because also that's not anybody else's job. But we need to open up for connection. We need to open up for love. And the first person we need to open up for to is our love. Yes, Lady Leo. Yes, Lady Leo. I sit with a part that I wasn't proud of, listened to a teen self and allowed her to hear me put an apology out to the universe for those I treated badly because of their race. It was freeing in the end. Yes, Lady Leo, my friend, right? Whew, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being such a powerful role model. Yeah, I appreciate you doing it outwardly, but I was more proud of you for yourself for doing it because it's a huge sign of growth, my friend, right? Because the truth is we can't extend that compassion and acceptance and understanding to other people unless we have started to open up that possibility for ourselves. So I was so proud of you. And I know you don't need me to be proud of you, but in my heart, I was. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for sharing your journey with us, Lady Leo, on many, many levels. My friend, you have taught me a lot and make my world richer. Yes. Yes. Whew. Glass of water. Glass of water. So, speaking of our topic today, right, is where do have we felt powerless? Um where can we take our power back? And that's part of it, Lady Leo, right? Once you can accept the parts that we and this was for me, accept the parts that I wasn't proud of. Accept my faults, accept my shortcomings, accept where I had hurt others. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So I'm going to turn to our Facebook group here just to set up our conversation today. We are on day 161, right? And here is you are not what happened to you. You are the same wonderful, awesome, powerful, beautiful, wise person you were before you were abused. And you always have been. And so, why have we always felt powerless? It's simply because you were a child and didn't know what to do about the thing that happened to you, right? So the two questions that I've asked of the group today, and I'd love to hear from everyone here. If you've always felt powerless, how has that toxic thought manifested in your adult life? And the second question was, now that you know you're not powerless, what small step can you take to change your powerless behavior into powerful behavior? How can you take your power back? And maybe for some of us, that feeling of powerless, being powerless, can, manifest as being stuck, right? I can't change. I can't make a difference. Things won't change. So, like I said, would love to hear. I have a few sharing comments here in the group. I hear you. I hear you. Am I frozen, Beverly? Can you hear me? Or are you commenting on what I was asking? EJ says, I don't know who I was before I was abused. All I've known is myself as a victim. I hear you. I hear you. Okay, got it. Thanks, Beverly. Just making sure. We've been having some glitches here with the technology, so wanted to make sure. So who else, right? Like EJ said, yes, thank you, Beverly. Me too, she says. That was me too. And that, what we know today, Lady Leah says, I keep losing the connection. I can see that because the numbers kind of drop in and out. So we'll hang in there, Lady Leo. Is that, when we don't have a reference to in the past, right? That's complex trauma, right? It's like we are trying to go back to something that we don't know what it is. Mine was the same. And that's why took me so long, because I was literally recreating, not like from scratch. So, more reason to be kind and gentle with yourself, and to remember that part of the healing journey is you reparenting yourself, because you weren't parented. I was born a victim out of the gate, so to speak, the gate. I was a victim, right? And so how can I separate what happened to me from who I was? Separate, right? This is Svava. This is what happened to her. And since I didn't have any awareness or understanding that I was being victimized, and that I was identifying with being a victim, thinking that's normal, all my identities, all my stories, the way I saw and felt about myself was a victim, which is, an important stage to understand and to acknowledge, but we need to separate from it, right? Like, what happened to me was bad. I'm not bad. I wasn't parented. It had nothing to do with me not being a good girl, right? I was abused. Not my fault. So again, in the beginning, it's very much, that's hard work, especially if we grew up with that, EJ, because any inward facing assessment to us is, I'm in trouble. I must have done something wrong. I must have done something bad, because that's how we've always felt. And we have spent our whole life trying to direct the energy that way, so no one is taking a look at this. Not even ourselves. We are outward focused. What can I do to make these people not look at me? What can I do to make them happy so they won't? Right? And I know I'm very, like, direct here. I'm oversimplifying things. But again, to understand, yes, if you have always been this way, there is still hope that you can change. And then, right? And then assessing, like, what are some of the identities that you've taken on to survive? Like, it's literally given you power. It's literally what's given you power. These identities, like I mentioned yesterday or last time we were here, like I thought being a control freak, being a perfectionist was a good thing, right? I like order. I like things to be clean. They have to be so. No, I'll do it. You won't do it right. I thought it was just part of my personality. But once I understood, no, it's how anxious I was about staying busy and wanting to look good, right? And taking care of everything and everybody. So maybe then they would be nice to me. Maybe then I'd be good enough to be around. So then to take a look at those things that gave me power and exchange them out for healthy identity, healthy beliefs, healthier value system. So again, yes, it's hard work. It's hard work, and it takes a lot of courage. It takes guts, my friends. So I've said this before. I totally get it when someone says, "I'm not doing this. This is too hard. Not doing this. Too much." I get it. I get it. Absolutely. No judgment. Your choice. I honor and respect your authentic journey always and your timing. Yes, lots of unraveling. I hear you, EJ. I hear you, right? Some days I'm like, I got this. Other days, it's like, just get me out of here. Just, I give up, right? Thank you, Minnie. Well said. I understand. Yes, we are strong. We are resilient. And we are learning about trauma and resilience. All the humans, our species evolved through trauma. We all do. We wouldn't be here if we wouldn't learn from it, evolve from it. Hey, Chrisanne, good to see you, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love it. She says, one big way I am taking my power back is by not allowing others in. By that, I mean discerning what I'm taking in and not taking in, not letting things affect me so bad. There you go, my friend. There you go. That's awesome. That's right, Lady Leo. Thank you, right? Exactly. That's a mature take on life, on what it is to be human, right, Chrisanne? It's like we recognize what other people do is to meet their needs, right? I'm over here trying to meet my needs. And if people do something that doesn't, fall in line with me or is disrespectful or, you know, um, we miscommunicate a lot, right? Or if anything happens, I can communicate about it. I can ask for what I need. I can set a boundary. And I can also keep in mind that people aren't personally attacking me. People aren't doing things to be mean or bad to me. They're doing the best they can to meet their needs. Hey, EJ, you said had a pretty intensive psych evaluation a couple of years ago, part of entering a new profession. Determined I'm resilient. Exactly. Good for you. Exactly. Right? It is trauma. Absolutely. And trauma can show up as depression when we have reached the frozen state. When we have tipped into, we've gone from fight or flight into freeze or collapse, then it looks like, right, depression. And depression is unexpressed emotions, repressed emotions, overwhelmed from the past. We are powerless over changing the past. So, yes, you get to decide, EJ. You get to decide. Good for you, my friend. Good for you. So, Lady Leo had shared with us here her comment. Her comment. She says, the one toxic belief that continues to rear its ugly head in my adult life is that I'm not good enough to be any part of healthy, authentic, loving relationships. Although this feeling still swells up from time to time, I now do a reality check with the relationships and people in my life. I set boundaries, show myself kindness, and create affirmations that confirm what my reality truly are, and they are. I'm surrounded by people that love me. I belong to a community of genuinely compassionate people that I dearly love, and I consider them my friends. Beautiful. Beautiful. And this is exactly it, Wanda. This is exactly it, right? How you change the thoughts and feelings about being powerless, maybe the toxic thought that you took on as a child to, protect yourself um, from the abuse, from the hurt, from the emotional hurt, right? We tell ourselves all these things. We build those walls around us. And now, I love that you're doing reality checks because, oh my goodness, I did a lot of reality checks. I had, again, my long list of peer friends in my groups where it was like, I need a reality check. Here's what's going on. This is my thinking. Am I out? Am I off? Is this my inner child? Is this a healthy choice? Is this an adult thinking? Right? And sometimes, I mean, we trusted each other, and I would borrow some advice, like, no, that's your inner child talking, Spava. It's like, yeah, I thought so, because it felt kind of defensive, judgmental, right? I was on guard. I wanted to be right. And so, and then to connect that in my body, because the body doesn't lie. So we can usually sense, where is it coming from in my body? If there's just two ways for us to be, right? So, but in the beginning, absolutely, to borrow someone else's, to do a reality check with a safe person, with a safe friend. Minnie says, I've never liked that word either. I even struggle with the word survivor sometimes. I get it. I get it. Yes, that's right. Chrisanne is doing awesome. You have a tenuous link with reality, says Rob. Don't we all? Don't we all, my friend? Yes, Minnie says those negative beliefs were engraved in us from a young age. And even though we might know different now, we can still feel them feelings. Yes, we can still feel them. I mean, I still have some madness pop up in my head every now and then. And I'm just like, where the heck is this coming from? Some part of me that, is in the middle of a meeting or teaching or presentation. It's like, why don't you do this? It's like, what? No. No, 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 no. We're not doing that. And I know I'm not going crazy, but because I know where it comes from, but I'm the parent. I'm the gatekeeper. Chrisanne, yes, and that I don't have to accept responsibility for exactly for other people. Accept responsibility for you and let other people handle themselves. Yes, exactly. Understand those feelings, understand where they came from. And though those beliefs are not our truth. And right, we took on those beliefs in our truth because it was the way we felt safe growing up. It's what we saw around us. It's the only way we survived. So you did a beautiful job. It kept you safe. So thank you, Wanda. Thank you, my friend. I am so proud of you. Huge win, right? When we are willing to question our own thoughts, when we're willing to question our own beliefs, our own feelings, and be present with them. It's like, that's interesting. I'm curious where that comes from, right? Knowing it's not the truth of who you are, right? It's information passing through the machine, through the system. All right, Rob, I am assuming you gave me permission to share. I don't see share on here, but right, you usually say I can. So quick check in with you. I'm going to assume that's a yes. There you go, Rob. She does. She absolutely does. So Rob had shared, I was powerless because I was always infantilized and never allowed to experience emotions. Cheer up when I felt sad, put down when I was happy, and exuberant. You know the drill. So I learned to either not feel or read the room like an expert in micro expression and model my reactions on others to fit in. So I was never being me, therefore, struggle to form relationships. Taking back my power involves trusting myself and being confident to express my needs and emotions, which involves boundaries. And like the saying goes, build it and they will come. And look at you people as an example of what being authentic attracts. You beautiful people. So thank you, Rob. You're absolutely right. Thanks, Rob. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right? Is we became what we saw was approved in our family or in our circles to not rock the boat because, yeah, Me too. I was told, "Can you pipe down? You're too happy." Right? "Can you quiet down? Stop asking so many questions." I was incredibly curious, right, as a child. And then I gave up. I stopped asking. People said, "Stop asking." So we turn ourselves into pretzels to fit in. And then one day we wake up in a pretzel and we're like, this is not me. This is not my flavor. This is not my my kind of pretzel. Exactly. That's right, Minnie. We got beaten down for just being kids. Yes. And then as we get older, playing, being playful is risky. It's vulnerable. And so we stopped. We stopped. That's right, Lady Leo. That was what I heard all the time. Stop asking or talking so much. Yes, sweet friends, I hear you, I feel you, I see you. Again, who we became, just a textbook example of children growing up in abusive households. Yes. I hear you, Lady Leo, right? And when I found those that would listen, they weren't the best influence. Exactly. We were desperate. Again, we had these desperate needs to connect, hardwired. The need to be seen, to be heard, to be celebrated, to want to feel like we fit in, that we belong. And we'll do anything, anything. Actually, just recently I was reflecting on I started smoking when I was 12 years old. Everybody smoked in Iceland when I grew up. That was the approved way to cope with pain. Uh, and so I can still remember the moment where even though I hated it in the beginning, it was, ugh, tasted horrible. And I was like hacking, couldn't even breathe. But I immediately got the attention of other cool kids, right? And the minute I felt like I belonged with the cool kids, I was in. Sure, I'll smoke. I'll get to hang out with them. They noticed me. All of a sudden, someone noticed me. Okay, I guess I'm doing that. Yes, Minnie. It feels though I've been a small adult for most of my life. Still a small adult now, but the stolen childhood can be very hard to bear. Yes, I hear you, friend. I hear you. And you, more than anyone, right, can comfort Minnie, can comfort little Minnie that's in there, that's in there, who needs to know, right, that no matter what was stolen from her, that she is still a good girl, that she is an incredibly, you know, awesome human, and that you love her and love to be with her and love to explore what were her dreams and what were her hopes. I hear you, Minnie. You love the nicotine rush. That came later. That came later. But in the beginning, I did not like it at all. And the same thing with alcohol. I didn't even like it. I hated it. It was disgusting. But again, it was part of fitting in, and I was desperate to fit in. Lady Leo, yep, and I was always taller, so I could buy cigarettes and alcohol, so of course they wanted me around. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yes, Minnie, you got her. Great. Great. I love it. I love it. So thank you, sweet Rob. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know that you also recognize there's great awareness here, right? That basically not being allowed to grow up, right? For so many children growing up are being parented as an extension of their parents. So parents trying to make children into cookie cutter versions of themselves, which is that's not parenting, right? That can be abusive, right? It's like then parents are getting their needs met through their children, which is not healthy. So um and it's again, chances are not to blame, right? But a lot of parents were growing weren't parented either, right? And there was chances are trauma in all our families that was unexpressed and unresolved, and it was being passed down. So Rob says, I did LSD and crack and you name it, because as Wanda said, we end up with people who listen and aren't always good for us, but also, yes, do fit into. Yep. I always hated the taste of alcohol. I mean, it really isn't nice, but I always loved getting blocked. I hated the taste, but I loved the effects. Yeah, I absolutely hear you. I absolutely hear you. You know, I think the reason why I used to drink as a young woman was because I felt more carefree. It gave me a little bit of confidence because I was lost. And so now, don't need that. Don't need that to be me. So, anyways, my friends, this is hard, hard work. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. Exactly. I hear you, Minnie. And also, just because we know that doesn't mean that we don't get to have our feelings about it, right? And you guys know, you know, my mom has been on these calls that, you know, she's healed her own trauma, and I have um separated, you know, from who she is, how she wasn't there for me, right? And that she had her own trauma. And have, you know, both accept that about her, and also, no matter what, it was my birthright. My wounded little child, my inner child that thought there was something wrong with her because she wasn't getting her needs met. It's like, and I gave myself permission to feel all that without needing to make it okay so my mom would feel better. And I've had to do that for my kids because I wasn't a perfect mom. There is no such thing as a perfect parent. Let me just put that out there. And parenting is hard. But as I've known better and learned better, I've gone and apologized a lot, actually. But what I have tried to do is that when my kids have brought to me things that I didn't do for them, I've agreed with them. I'm like, "You're right. I wasn't there for you. I wasn't able to give you that as a child." And I've let them express that anger and that hurt without making them feel wrong. And it hurt like heck. But I don't want to invalidate them because that only Made me feel crazy when someone was saying, "Oh, no, that didn't happen." "Oh, yes, it did. I was there." So that's what I tell them. "Yeah, you're right. I was there. I remember. I I wish I would have known to do different then, but I'm here now. I'm here now." Exactly, right? Yes. And our parents may not be the people that we go to, right? With some of this hard stuff. We recognize who are our people. Who do we go to hold the bucket, right? When we need to have those hard feelings, when we need to express things. But it doesn't mean that we can also maybe ask permission to go and get some clarification. If you have that open invitation from your parent to talk to them about what happened. Yes, it doesn't make it right, but it helped me to understand why or how they acted. Yes, I love them so much, but I will always keep them at arm's length when I have problems. Yep, I get it. That's all right, Rob. Thanks for giving us a heads up, but I can see that it's probably choppy for you guys. So glad you're here, my friend. Hey, Beverly, that's another blow, spoiling our own ability to parent. Yep, I hear you. I hear you. But here's the thing, my friend, as we reparent ourselves and are kind to ourselves about what we didn't get, we can also accept our shortcomings. We did the best we could. So, and I swear by this is that the more time I spent reparenting me and my inner child, the more open I was, and more able to show warmth and love for my own kids. Because when they were born, I was very cold and aloof. I was disconnected from my body. I hadn't felt anything, so it was hard. It was definitely hard in the beginning. As much as have always loved my kids, I didn't know how to express my feelings for a long time. Yeah. And I had to grief that, right? Grief that. Not use it against me, not punish myself or criticize myself for it. I was a product of my upbringing, right? And even if our kids are grown up, I believe that the healing that we continue to do sets them free. Like, we are not passing on to them whatever we heal now here in our hearts. So there you go, Rob. Breaking that generational cycle. Absolutely. I do believe that each and every one of us here is doing that. Some people may never know, but you, my friend, have my respect because I know what you're doing and I know how hard this is. So, and for that, I want to celebrate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you're contributing to the world being a little bit better, a little more trauma informed. So, thank you, thank you, thank you, friends. This is obviously an ongoing conversation. Like, how do we take our power back from the past, from the trauma? Yes, we are investing time in the truth, right? And the truth sets you free. Absolutely. Speaking truth to power, speaking truth to shame, speaking truth to hard feelings, right? We got it. We're doing it. Absolutely. So, It takes, I saw your comment earlier, mentally tiring. Yes, it can be. Definitely mentally tiring. So I invite you, Beverly, and anybody else, is to like to take some of the mental effort on the healing into your heart. Let it be a full body experience, because thinking about it often just keeps it here. But once you really bring it into your body and your heart and really be kind to yourself, right? About it, like know why you're doing this, know why you're here, know why you choose to show up for these meetings, know why you choose to show up every day for your healing, right? Because you are worth it, right? You are worthy of your time and energy. I hear you, EJ. Because in the beginning, right, like we mentioned in the beginning of this call, we resist. We resist. We naturally resist change. And we become exhausted from the resistance. But once we can understand why the resistance is here, I hear you. Your body is exhausted. It is tired. Absolutely. I get it. You're doing a beautiful, important work, EJ. I know it doesn't always feel like that. But once we can slowly turn towards our bodies, and instead of avoiding it, resisting it, don't wanting to feel or see or hear it, I hear you, I feel you, I see you. I don't have all the answers yet, but you can tell your body, I'm scared. I too am scared, but I am slowly learning to come and to hear you and to recognize what you are trying to bring to me. Because it's all you, it's all experiences of you. Yes, some of it hurt in the past. It did hurt in the past. And it's trying to come up so we can release it. Because no matter how much it hurt in the past, you are still an inherently good, lovable, valuable, important human. And often we fight that truth more than any. We are the ones rejecting ourselves. So when I stop thinking about it as hard work, as work, and more changing perspective on, no, this is my self-care. This is my self-respect. This is my self-compassion. This is my self-love. All the things that I am worthy of and should have gotten. You need to tell me a little more, Beverly. I've said so much. You say, why is that? Why is it hard? Why is it's exhausting? Because it's a biological response. We are always doing something to keep ourselves safe. Yes, because we don't have it's your nervous system doesn't know that what you're trying to do is going to make it better, right? It's building on past history, and for most of us in the past, it didn't work so well. So to come into the present moment over and over and over again is to start to question, to be curious, What's the feeling coming up? What's the thinking coming up? Instead of resisting, is to just hold space for it, just in the allowing. I hear you, I feel you, I see you. Because so much when we feel, we go into the story. I must have been bad. I'm unlovable. But in the present moment, we can correct it. And I know in the beginning, it's like these micro movements. But it gets easier, my friend. It gets easier. Just like how we started, when we learned how to walk, right? How many times did we fall? How many times did we fall? And how many times did we bump our heads and our knees and get some bruises? But we kept going until it became slow walking. Then slowly we learned to move faster. And then we're running. And then we absolutely love the running, the freedom. Anyways, I can sit and talk about this forever, my friends, but I hope I helped you, Beverly, with your question. Thank you guys so much for showing up here in this space for each other. And if this supported you in any way, please give me a thumbs up here on YouTube. It helps my videos reach more people. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Beverly. And with that, I did pull a card for us today. Don't know who needed this gentle reminder, but I often talk about do what sparks joy. Remember, you are worthy of feeling joy, whatever that is for you. Only you get to decide. And it's interesting, the further along on my journey, I heal. Thanks, Rob. The simpler, the more of the simpler things that bring me joy, like my kitty cats, or soft warm blanket, or hot cup of tea, smell of the roses, feeling the rain on my skin. So one day she woke up and infused joy. And that really was what I decided about the healing journey. It became joy. It wasn't a burden anymore. I decided it was going to be joyful to heal my heart because I was worth it, right? Fulfillment in the journey, in the process of it, understanding what made this work. Thank you, sweet friends, as always, for your courage, for your encouragement and sharing with each other. Remember, you already have all that you need to heal and restore. And I believe in you. Always, always. So I'll see you back here on Thursday, same time, same place. Tomorrow I will be on Facebook at 2 and Friday at 2. So we are pulling off a everyday connection this week. So love being with you guys. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that, Beverly. Yes, much love to you all. Thanks, friends. I'll see you next time. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye now.